Chapter 3. The Hidden Narratives. You're not just reacting to the moment. You're reacting to the meaning you've given it. Have you ever walked away from a conversation wondering, why did that bother me so much? Or did you find yourself spiraling over a single comment that felt way too familiar? That's not just about what was said. It's about the story behind it. This chapter reveals one of the most powerful truths in communication. Every conversation has two parts, what's being said and what your emotions are whispering underneath. In the hidden narratives, you'll uncover the quiet scripts that shape how you hear, interpret, and respond. These are the emotional backstories you didn't know were writing your reactions. The feeling that you're never enough, triggered by a simple suggestion. The fear of abandonment, hidden behind your silence. The shame of past rejection, fueling your need to over-explain or defend. You'll meet characters who realize they weren't in conflict with another person. They were in conflict with an old version of themselves. And you'll see how emotional reflexes you thought were just how I am are actually learned defense mechanisms you can unlearn. This isn't about blaming your past. It's about reclaiming your future. Because once you see the pattern, you can rewrite the story. If you've ever felt like you're too sensitive or too defensive, if you're tired of being hijacked by old pain in new conversations, if you're ready to stop reacting and start choosing, then this chapter will give you your power back. Because the problem isn't just the other person's tone or timing, it's the unspoken narrative that turns a moment into a meltdown. Let's decode it so you can stop fighting ghosts and start connecting with what's real. You think you're arguing about the dishes, or the text they didn't send, or that offhand comment that just didn't sit right. But what if you're not? What if you're actually arguing with a wound you forgot you had? Chapter 3 pulls back the curtain on the emotional stories running silently in the background of your conversations. These stories, what we call hidden narratives, aren't loud. They don't announce themselves, but they dictate everything. They turn a harmless suggestion into an attack, a pause into rejection, a question into criticism. In this chapter, you'll meet the people behind the patterns. Elijah, who mistakes feedback for failure, and Priya, whose over-explaining is really just fear, dressed up as clarity. You'll see yourself in them, and more importantly, you'll learn how to reclaim your voice from the past that's still speaking through you. Why you need this chapter? Because real communication doesn't just require speaking. It requires knowing what part of you is doing the talking. And healing begins when you stop defending old stories and start writing new ones. You've heard the phrase, "Don't take it personally." This chapter shows you what to do when that feels impossible, and how to pause, decode, and redirect a reaction before it hijacks a connection. You don't just need better conversations. You need to stop letting your history write the script. We don't just respond to words. We respond to what they represent. Memories, wounds, beliefs, and fears that most people never see. Opening scene, the two-sentence explosion. The kitchen clock ticked like a metronome, marking rising tension. Alexis leaned against the counter, arms folded. "You never finish anything you start." The words were casual, meant to motivate, maybe tease. But Jordan's face stiffened. Then came the slam of a palm against the table. "I'm sick of you acting like I'm useless." Alexis froze. "Jordan, I didn't mean..." But Jordan was already halfway down the hallway, anger trailing like a shadow. My reflection. This wasn't about a forgotten chore or an unfinished task. This was about a decades-old story Jordan had never unlearned. I'm never good enough. Real talk from Jermaine. We're not just reacting, we're remembering. We think we're arguing about laundry, deadlines, or dinner plans, but often we're not. We're arguing with ghosts, unhealed echoes of childhood, words we've heard before that buried themselves into the fabric of our self-worth. A comment today becomes a confrontation because it accidentally steps on a wound that was never acknowledged. Quote, Every trigger has a backstory, and most of them weren't written by you. And once those stories activate, the rational mind shuts down. What's left is survival mode. What is a hidden narrative? A hidden narrative is the emotional backstory we carry into every conversation. It's the belief beneath the reaction. The silent script says, if they raise their voice, I'm in danger. If they pause too long, they're judging me. If they correct me, I must be stupid. These narratives are often formed early by repeated emotional injuries, a critical caregiver, a shaming classroom, or a culture that told you certain emotions were unsafe. They're not conscious. They live in tone, timing, and tension. They shape how we interpret what's being said, even when the words themselves are neutral. We're not responding to the present, we're responding to the past. Character case study: Elijah and the criticism wound. Elijah, a brilliant software engineer, dreaded team review meetings. Not because of the work. He was sharp, capable, meticulous, but feedback made his heart pound like a fire alarm. When a teammate once said, "Hey, can we rework this section of the code?" Elijah snapped back, "Well, if you had been clearer in your initial notes, we wouldn't have to." It wasn't personal. It was programmed. Elijah had grown up with a father who pointed out mistakes like they were landmines. A B+ was a failure. "What's wrong with you?" was a common refrain. So now any suggestion, however mild, registered as an attack. And Elijah reacted like he had to defend his worth. Dialogue. A coaching moment with Elijah. "Why do I get so defensive?" Elijah asked during a session. "I know they're just doing their job, but I hear criticism and I want to shut down or fight." "What do you believe it means about you when someone points out something to fix?" I asked. He paused. "That I failed? That I'm not enough?" There it was, the narrative. "You're not reacting to them," I said. "You're reacting to the story that says you have to be perfect to be accepted." The emotional cost of unseen narratives. When we don't recognize our own hidden stories, we bleed onto people who didn't cut us. We withdraw, assuming others are judging. We lash out, assuming others are abandoning us. We defend, assuming others are attacking. But often they're just speaking, and we're interpreting it through a distorted lens. Dialogue. A hidden narrative in action. Callie. "Why didn't you text me back for hours?" Nate. "I was in a meeting. Chill." Callie. "Every time you ignore me, I feel like I don't matter." Nate. "That's not fair. I didn't do anything." Callie. "Exactly. You never do." That last line, that wasn't about a missed text. That was about years of feeling invisible. And Nate, unaware, only heard blame, not the need behind it. Reflection. What's your hidden narrative? Ask yourself, what comments trigger me the fastest? What belief shows up when I feel hurt or dismissed? When I overreact, what am I protecting? The answers will always lead back to a story you never asked for, but still carry. Rewriting the narrative, from reacting to reclaiming. You can't change your history, but you can change your default response. When triggered, pause and ask, what am I actually feeling? What do I believe this moment says about me? Is that belief true or just familiar? Start to separate the events from the emotion. Not everything that feels threatening is. Connection begins when you stop trying to win the argument and start listening to the wound.